or joining us after the fact on the archived episode, which you can check out or tell other people to check out on the Reality After Show right here on YouTube. My name's Gabe Ortis, joined by the owner, the proprietor, the Vince McMahon, if you will, of the Reality After Show, Jonny Fairplay.
Nick Khan.
And we have a very special guest with us today, something I'm super excited to get into. There's so much to talk about with this guy, and thank you so much for giving us some time today. The one, the only, the incomparable Reiman Bledsoe. Reiman, how are we doing today?
Whoa. Well, to be honest, we're not doing amazingly. I just got back home to Ecuador 5 days ago, and there's a bit of a family emergency calling me back to the States at the worst possible time, but I'm making the best of it and hanging out in what I consider the nicest airport in the world, in Quito. So yeah, I can't complain too much, and I really appreciate the invitation. Reiman, just to get the pronunciation.
Reiman, apologies. Reiman, understood.
All good. I just, yeah.
Well, you're kind of a mystery. You're kind of a mystery, right? Like a lot has changed since we saw you on the show, and we'd like to address everything.
Yeah, as long as you got time for it. So Reiman, thank you for the correction first off. And I kind of want to start this conversation with hearing from you, somebody who has been rather removed from, being on the show for quite some time now, about what your journey through Survivor was from before you got casted to where you are now. And I know that's a loaded question, so we can kind of take it piece by piece, but just kind of start with like you leading up to auditioning and getting casted on the show. Where were you? Were you this big, massive super fan? Did you do it on a whim? What inspired you to put an audition video in? And what was your casting process like?
Yeah, I was a huge super fan. I was finishing high school, and my high school best friend was like, you should check out this show Survivor. So I did, and immediately I just fell in love with the idea of people creating their own world and like no rules. Like you make the rules, you form the microstructures that make up culture. And to see that in real time, I feel like is one of the coolest insights into the human condition. It's a little quieter out here.
Cool.
That one could have. So I feel like it tapped into how profound this genre of reality can be. And immediately I wanted to play. So I submitted a tape. I studied the casting process like the nerd I was. I read every Lynn Spillman interview. Wasn't lucky enough to see her at a gas station and, accost her. So
wow. Hey, she accosted me.
I'm about to say, if you ask Jonny, it's the other way around.
Okay, well, I'll stay out of that fight. But I read everything I could from Lynn Spillman, from Jeff, from Mark, and I honed in on, the sex and conflict and humor that makes reality compelling. I also think it makes it kind of guttural and trashy oftentimes, and I want to do something more interesting in what I'm doing now in the genre. But, I realize what gets people on TV, and like I was a pretty even keel, chill kid. I think if I had just been ho-hum and the way I was, I probably wouldn't have gotten cast. So I was like, all right, conflict, I can do conflict. And I found like the most disagreeable parts of myself and blew them out of proportion and got in fights with everybody and sort of gamed the casting process. And it was really like a dream come true to get on the show. It was totally surreal having been a fan. And it really was about healing. I just didn't know it at the time. I really wanted validation, to be heard, to feel loved, the things that I guess I didn't get enough of in formative years. And so I looked to that in the external world in a TV show and was under the delusion that I would find it and that it would make me happy. And it was super exciting and cool, but definitely didn't make me happy. And so then, especially after the second time, putting so much of my identity into it and losing and kind of feeling crushed, I started questioning life, questioning myself and what I'm doing, and then meditating and then doing plant medicine, and changed my life. And I would agree that I'm a very different guy than I was. So I'm happy to go into whatever part of the journey you want.
And so, something you mentioned there was that you hoped to get on the show and then did get on the show looking for all these things: love, affirmation, validation. What did you end up finding if it wasn't those things?
It was some of those things, but the rub is that the person being affirmed and loved was, first filtered from 72 hours of a filming period into 1 or 2 minutes of confessionals, then filtered through people's perceptions and biases. And I realized that like the guy people supposedly loved in Kagayan was like just this tiny fragment of me. And it sort of took the way that we always partially understand each other, like we only ever understand other people partially. It took that to such an extreme that it was pretty disillusioning and almost led to a little bit of nihilism. So it's like I got what I wanted, but I realized like the depth of me could never actually get that completely. And I didn't even realize there was that depth at that time. It took going on Survivor and kind of dealing with some of my issues to realize like there was some work to do. And, you know, I went into it with a lot of issues. I admit, I know that everyone comes at it from a different place. But yeah, it's a wild ride that could even create wounds if they weren't there to begin with. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and it leads to another question. How much appreciation, if any, do you have for that kind of exposure to some of those issues that you're alluding to? Did you think that those were things that you came out of with a better understanding and acceptance of that you wouldn't have gotten had you not been on Survivor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful that everything came up. Like, I'm super grateful for the merge feast, my first season, when I ate food and I noticed this weird emotion of like guilt, like I didn't feel worthy of eating the food. And then I had a flashback to a memory that I guess I had repressed of this unworthiness. So it wasn't so much like accepting, learning to accept them at that time, but like realizing they were there. I was a pretty ego-centered 20-year-old, going on 21, turned 21 on Survivor, went on this crazy ego trip, you know, at that age, and kind of thought I had it together. And then the experience was the first hint that I didn't have it together as much as I thought.
Would you say, like, coming out of, there had to have been a high after your first Survivor, like, holy moly, like, I'm famous, this is cool, like, I'm a good-looking young buck on kind of on top of the world. Like, do you find the issue is that high was so good, it's just like, okay, well, everything to follow is going to be equally as good as this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you think at the time.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. It was the ultimate drug, like to finish an episode and go on social media and thousands of notifications and all this attention. And yeah, it was the ultimate drug and high that I've had to detach from. And I mean, maybe I'm jumping the gun. We could get into 50 whenever it works for your flow, but it was really an attachment that got formed to that high and to the show. And I didn't realize how sticky it was. I didn't realize how deep it went. You know, I went years off the grid, not interacting with this world at all. And still, like, it was in there.
And, you know, I'm curious, when you were in the running to be on Second Chances to go to Cambodia, was there any hesitation within you, or were you in a by any means necessary, I want to be out there, I want to go play again? Like, did a lot of these demons that came with being on Survivor, were they there yet? Were they in your face yet? Or were you just thinking, I need to chase this high, I need to get back out there?
Yeah, I was thinking I need to win. Like, I thought my life purpose was to win Survivor, I guess.
Oh, been there, done that.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have decided my life's purpose is to not win Survivor, and I'm like, hey, this shit's working out pretty good.
Hopefully I get there soon.
You're killing it. Yeah, I wanted it real bad for pretty unconscious reasons, and I would have done it over and over forever, because it was my identity. It became my identity.
And so you, like you said, left this world for a quite a long time, years. And, you know, not just left the Survivor world, you left the United States, you went to Ecuador, and you've developed, you know, a much deeper, more complex identity, at least from an outsider perspective looking in. This is the first combo we've had, but just from everything I've seen from you, you know, it sounds like you have found a much more of yourself in Ecuador and over the past few years. So I'm curious, why come back into this world? What brought you back?
Yeah, I'm curious too. And I didn't even realize how deep it was in there.
He just wanted to meet Mary.
I did want to meet Mary. I did meet Mary though anyway.
Yeah.
But
we've seen the dancing.
Huh?
We've seen the dancing with you and Mary. Who's a better dancer, you or Mary?
Probably Mary. I don't know. I did a handstand, but dancing.
I feel like in 2025, handstands count as really good dancing.
All right, cool. I'll take it. Yeah, I don't know. Mary is super cool. I go where I live. There's a weekly ecstatic dance, which is very fun. I don't go very often. But yeah, I like that. What were we talking about?
So what brought you back to this world of Survivor and back into a bit of spotlight here? Because you have been vocal about, recent happenings over the past few months when it comes to Survivor in season 50. So like what made you want to come back to all that?
Yeah, I mean the call. Like I didn't think I wanted to at all. I got a call August of last year, and my initial response was, hey, if this is about Survivor, I'm not really interested, but I'll hear you out. And she said, yeah, we want you on season 50. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And then after a week or two, it just reawakened this monster. It reawakened this like identity piece that was there, this kid that really wanted to go on that show and win that show. And I didn't know how I would do it. I honestly wasn't sure, even until the point when I was cut. I wasn't sure if I was going to go and decide to actually play the game, or if I was just going to go like meditate and tell the truth and blow up people's plans and be like a shit stirrer.
Sure.
Oh God, I'm here for that 1,000%.
Yeah. That would be the funnest way to play, like just troll the whole thing. But yeah, like I was surprised by myself. My mind said no initially, and then it turned into a yes, and I convinced myself that was coming from the soul or somewhere deeper. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I do think like everything has led to this point, and I'm really excited about this point. So it's all good. But yeah, it's hard to say no. It's an amazing opportunity. Like regardless of where anyone is in life, it's this opportunity to win $1 million with a very small time investment and get all this exposure to put out whatever message you want to put out, to spread your vibe. And it's ego. And I was also like pretty self-aware about that and honest that like it was pure ego making me want to do it, which I think is natural. All energy wants to spread. I want to spread my vibe. I want to be heard as much as possible. I don't think it'll make me happy, but I still want to, and that's why I wanted to.
Yeah, and we were talking, me and Jonny were talking to Jerry Manthe not too long ago, legend of the game of Survivor, yada yada yada. And she talked about how negative a lot of the aspects of her time being on the show, coming off the show, how it affected her career as an aspiring actress, how it affected her personal relationships, how she was this pariah in places where she never would have been noticed before. And now she's getting called names and being yelled at in traffic, like very negative things. And yet every time she was asked back, it was just, yes, I will be there. And I think it's something that people who haven't participated in the show can't fully grasp, is how addicting, like the feeling, like you are a superhero out there. It's the best way I can describe it. You are doing something that is larger than life. I tell everybody it's the greatest organized adventure that a human being can participate in, is going to play a game of Survivor through Survivor, real Survivor. And so I'm curious, are you somebody who worked to get away from that attachment, or is it something that you've kind of accepted? Like, I'm curious where you're at with that, because it sounds like you worked to get away from it and then realized it was still a lot closer to you than you thought. So I'm curious what that part of the journey was like.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's both. I've worked to get away from it, or not necessarily to get away from it. I don't want to frame it as far as like, I don't want to frame it as anti-Survivor so much as pro, the things I'm into now, making compost, having a water company, biodiversity, plant medicine, community. Grounding into that real world, because also this larger than life world is a little bit of a fake world too. It's like all on screens, and it's all abstracted from like being on the ground and knowing your neighbors and like having those vibes in real life.
Are you trying to tell me Instagram isn't real?
I mean,
yes.
It's as real as OnlyFans, I guess.
Wow. I don't know. Have you seen Ozzy's OnlyFans? It's pretty good.
I haven't. No. Not yet.
I have not either. It's
but yeah, like I've tried to go toward the things I value now, and at the same time I do have to accept my attachment to whatever I'm attached to, and Survivor surprised me. It's still there.
So that's interesting. A thing you say there right at the end is this idea of like, I have to accept the attachments that I have. And like part of it being attached by definition is it's part of me, you know? And some things you can't just rip off. And some things I think you don't want to rip off, you know, no matter how toxic it may be to you. It's something that's like, I don't want this to go anywhere. It is part of you wanting to go back on 50. How much of that is hoping it would be better, and how much of it is just like, you know what, I'm in this thing and I just want to do it? Like, is there a hope that if you were to go back again a third time, 50 or otherwise, that it would be different this time around? Or would your expectations be different?
Yeah, I mean, it would be different for sure. It wouldn't necessarily go better in terms of my performance in the game, but it would definitely go better as far as me sharing this guy with the world.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Which is what I cared about. Like, I genuinely I didn't care about winning season 50. I cared about being on and sharing my vibe and sharing my voice and reconnecting, I guess, with, of course I did want to win too. But I wasn't necessarily willing to go be a devil. So yeah, it was a reconnection to that kid. And yeah, like, it doesn't upset me that it's still there. I do have to accept it. And yeah, we do have to accept attachments. Like, having walked this spiritual path, for lack of a better word, a lot of me has wanted to like let go of all attachments. And at a time, like, I thought there was a such thing as an enlightened human being, and I wanted to be one, and I wanted to have no attachments. But I've realized, like, food is nice, you know, as many, like, I could go in all these different states of consciousness, but I always love coming here and eating food and sex and like these things that make us very primally human.
Sure.
And yeah, the inner child and his dream, that's like, I want to honor that, but also tell him, like, it's okay, you don't need it.
Jonny, go ahead.
I shockingly, and this, I'm kind of mad at myself, but now in retrospect, I'm like, oh, that was good. My first season of Survivor, I did not try to win Survivor. I wanted to create the character of Jonny Fairplay, have as much creative control over that character as possible, and keep him on television for as long as possible. And, you know, making it to the final, I'm like, all right, mission accomplished. And then, you know, I didn't win. They're like, oh, you didn't win, you're a loser. And I'm like, no, I did. Like, I hate the word checklist on Survivor, because I feel like it's really, really got ruined in the new era. But I did have a checklist, and I checked off all the things, and I'm like, I'm good. And hearing you, I'm just like, wow, like, I envisioned, because I saw you and I envisioned, you know, Jonny Fairplay 10 years earlier getting to have this experience. And I'm just like, kid, you checked all the boxes. You won.
But I definitely didn't. I mean, that wasn't my mentality at all. I think I developed to feel that way, which is a little scary, that having like grown, I would end up at the place you started at in Pearl Islands. Yeah. But yeah, I think that is actually more valuable, to like be who you want to be and put something out there that you can then work with on Survivor. But I wasn't thinking that way the first time. I was just like, I have to win. I have to win to be enough.
I was in the same way. Yeah. I thought
how old are you, Reiman?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I just turned 33.
Okay, well, 30-year-old Jonny Fairplay figured that out. I don't think 20-year-old Jonny Fairplay probably would have been, I gotta win at all costs. But 30-year-old Jonny Fairplay was just like, dude, this is the gimmick. Just share the gimmick. We're good.
Yeah. Good on you. Yeah. I think that's where it's at.
Yeah, I want to be anyway. I want to be Roddy Piper, like that. You know, here we go. And you know, Roddy Piper never won the World Heavyweight Championship, but he was still I liked him more than Hulk Hogan.
Sure. And so I'm curious, Reiman, of, you know, as somebody who was a disciple of this game for so long before you even got casted on the show, what do you make of where it's gone over the past few years? And you know, it's obviously very contentious. And do you even think about it in that capacity? Like, do things like how many days they play matter to you? Do things like now there's a mergatory, like, do those things matter to you? And if they do, how do you think it's changed the game and the viewing experience? And if it doesn't matter to you, why doesn't it matter to you?
I guess everything matters on some level. Like, honestly, the number of days doesn't matter that much. The off days were the worst part of the 39-day game, and if you can cut those out, it doesn't bother me much.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other things have been pretty terrible from a production standpoint, namely injecting so much artificial drama into the game, like all the twists and advantages, how hard it is to keep track of them, and just the emphasis on strategy so far above humanity and character moments and camp life. They have a longer show. They should be able to do more of that stuff, but they're doing less of that stuff. Instead, we're watching 5 minutes of people going on a journey and flipping coins, a rolling dice. Like those literally, yeah. I watched 48 to do a podcast.
We watched them play Yahtzee, Ryman. Yahtzee.
And then we watched them narrate how the Yahtzee game went. It's like, I'm just like, put that on television and feel good with that. Like, that's unbelievable.
I play Yahtzee at the pool with my 7 and 17-year-old. I'm not putting that on television. I'm not even putting that on my fake Instagram.
Not even on a story. It's not a post. It's not a story. It's nothing. It's like, it's unbelievable. And it is a little sad because, like, I think Survivor is this. Sorry. I think Survivor is this amazing potential. I think it's like the show aliens would watch to learn what humans are about, because you're seeing real character moments and people figuring out how to build a world. But when it turns into this like pseudo sport, and like with advantages on steroids, yeah, they lost me. Like I love its potential. I love Survivor as a whole always, but I don't find it very watchable in the last few seasons.
Wow. Okay. And so
wow. Gabe leads this podcast.
I tried. Like I liked some things. I liked some people on season 48, but like, and I watched one more episode after the podcast. I'm like, okay, I can stick with this, but I couldn't.
Well, and I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole because this is not what we're here to talk about. But the reason I think that Jeff and production did not like 47 and a lot of the fans did is because our season had very little to do with those two things. Nobody went home because they got screwed on a journey. There was nobody at Mergatory who went home that wasn't already desired to go home. Like Rome went home at Mergatory. He always wanted to go home. And there were no big moments with Jeff on our entire season, like, because it was about us, and our cast did many organic things that made the show and the season compelling. It wasn't about twists. It wasn't about journeys. It wasn't about any of that. They just got a really good cast of people together that were there to play Survivor. And that is what makes a good Survivor season. But again, I don't want to get too deep into that.
No, I think you're right. Looking back, and I'm not saying this because you're there, and I know you and Rome have your Twitter beef, Gabe, but it's what I mean. I guess you can't see what he's writing because he blocked you.
Correct.
But I love, the more I look back and the more I remember, 47 is the closest thing that Reiman and I have had to what Survivor was.
Well, and it's because of exactly what he's saying, what Reiman's saying right now, is that the best parts of our season are organic. They're human. It's not just this high-level harebrained strategy. It's Teeny crying because Saul got voted out, and Genevieve made Teeny look stupid for the third time that season. That's one of the best moments of the season because it's just human. There's no strategy there. Teeny's not worried about their game getting blown up. Teeny's worried because one of their best friends just got killed in this game by somebody that they thought was their best friend. And the fallout from that is so human and so organic. And, again, to build off of one of Reiman's points, that is us building the rules of this game, that something like that is allowed. Yeah. And on 48, that was not allowed. You were not allowed to do that on 48 because, Joe was going to say that you went back on your word and Eva was going to say you're not a real friend. And so it's like that is compelling to me. That is something that makes good Survivor because it is what the show was meant to be, a representation of who we are in, I guess, at least the United States. And 47, to your point, gets the closest to that than any of the New Era seasons by far.
Right
and thank you. I binged the entire season for the first time since the finale aired 2 days ago. So I have a lot of 47 in my head. But am curious, building off of that point, that if you were to go back on 50 or otherwise, you say that your goals have changed and that, a lot of what you would want to do would be wanting to just get, the person you are now out there versus the person that you used to be. And I'm sure a combination of the two, and get your vibes and your message out there, which I think is awesome. And I think it's, one of the most admirable reasons to go out and play the game of Survivor. I'm curious, would you have any internal obligation, or rather motivation? How much motivation would you have to steer the game in a direction that you love and you appreciate and you fell in love with as a younger man? Like, would you have any of that where you can be like, I have a moment where I can impact this game and this show to be more of what I want it to be for future generations to watch?
Yeah. Yes, but more based on my vision now than my vision then. What attracted me to the show then was how Machiavellian it was. And I was very Machiavellian, and I came from this traumatic childhood with all this lying and deceit. So it fit me like a glove, and I wanted to have this carte blanche to, manipulate and lie and all this. Obviously, if I went now, regardless of what I said I was going to do, people would think I would be playing strategically. So if I said, hey, I'm actually not going to lie, I'm going to do the alphabet strategy, which is something I was thinking about doing. People wouldn't buy it until maybe a few votes in, maybe then they would buy it.
Would you have done the alphabet strategy?
I probably wouldn't have. I mentioned it to a few friends, and they said a better approach, because if I did the alphabet strategy, my vote's locked in and there's really no reason to talk to me. But I think if I said I'm going to vote for who I feel is the worst vibes every time, and I'm going to openly say who that is, then I think people would have a reason to talk to me. And I would definitely want to make Survivor take it to another level of evolution. Like, I feel like that is what's so compelling about it, is that potential. Like, I mean, Richard Hatch kind of did it in season 1 on a level, and just like setting the tone, thinking of an alliance when everyone was not thinking strategically at all. Yeah. Rob Sesternino did it. Russell did it. Multiple people have sort of thought outside the box and changed the way people play. And
is there anybody else on that list that you think deserves to be mentioned? I can't think of anybody, to be honest. I think you hit all the big ones on the head. I can't think of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think those were the big moments, like Rob, and then there really wasn't any.
I guess Rick Devens, if I had to think of anyone else.
Jam, of course.
Jam. Yeah, all right, cool. I'm glad.
No, I mean,
this has been fun, Reiman.
Reiman Bledsoe, everybody.
Hey, look, I'll have you know, I value what you did. I showed my Light and Shadows crew the dead grandmother lie. Yeah, paradigm shifting.
It didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. Because no one could follow it. You were too far ahead of your time.
Oh,
like,
all right.
Rob thought of flipping alliances, and then people kept doing that, but no one else could match what you did.
Oh.
But I would want to change it, not necessarily like in a strategic way, but in a way, like in a cultural way. Like, I wanted to go in the water naked. I wanted to be very free, speak very freely. And that would have been incredible TV. I would have made Survivor culturally relevant again, because they are really valuing diversity on a level now, but I don't think they're valuing diversity of opinion very much. Agreed. Or it's just not interesting. So I would have made it interesting.
Very cookie cutter. And they're like, hey, we're diverse, get it? And it's like, yeah, but like, can't you be like, what Kyle on your season, Gabe? I'm sure he's a very nice guy. He's like, hey, we got a redneck, but we kind of don't. Give me a redneck.
I mean, the fact that like Gabler won, and then it came out that he was a Trumper, right?
Yeah.
The fact that was so controversial is a bad sign, I think. Like, I would rather see a season of Trumpers versus liberals than
50-50.
Than this, like a diversity of opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Same. Like I it's like, hey, we have the most diverse cast ever. I'm just like, no, because 98% voted this way, and I don't care where you fall on who voted, like, or what the real numbers were. I feel like they were pretty freaking close, and that's why there was an election.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I think like value conflict is inherently what's compelling about the show, and we're not getting that anymore.
So real quick,
did we actually lose Jonny? Is he actually that hurt?
No. Oh, okay. Gabe's pressing bike.
Oh, now we lost Gabe.
Yeah.
The whole thing crashed on me, but I'm back now. I heard your whole answer though. And I think you're absolutely right about that. And I don't want to get too deep into like the political landscape of the United States.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm just an example.
But to your broader point, though, I think it's very astute the fact that it's like, look, we're talking about this show being a representation of the country and now Canada, which it was truthfully for quite some time. And I think it's hard to say that honestly nowadays. And so I kind of want to transition into a little bit of season 50 here. As you've already alluded to multiple times, you were in the casting process. They were making phone calls. They reached out to you to do it. How deep into the casting process did you get? Were you a part of that big cuts that were made in March?
It was March or like late March that I got cut.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact day, but it was like late March.
Yeah.
I went through psych and had a really good time in psych. I got the impression during psych that I would be on.
What gave you that impression?
Just the way she was talking, like, you'll have to, let me know how it goes after. Like, she was very interested in the conversation with me because, like, I'm very interested in psychology. We have a lot of, and she was actually like had more of a spiritual seeker in her than I had ever realized. So we had a lot to talk about. And she's like,
was it Dr. Liza or is she not there anymore?
Yeah, it was Liza. Yeah.
Oh my God, Dr. Liza is the greatest human being ever.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, I also talked to the psychologist who's on location, the new one. Yeah, Liza was like, you got to let me know how it goes after. Like, I'm super interested. So yeah, it felt like things were going well. They were very responsive to me. That was like November, December, and they seemed very interested, just like quick responses and, friendliness. And then in January, I said I was going to go to the jungle and I'd be out of touch for a while and I'd get in touch when I came back. And she's like, great, let me know. I let her know. And then it started being like long times of not hearing anything. And then
were you ever told you're on?
No. Okay. And if I could do anything differently about what I put out there in the tweet that I sent out of announcing Healing from Survivor, I wouldn't say that I was misled per se. Like, I felt that way, but it's not totally fair to say that. They didn't say I was on.
Yeah, because we're hearing from a lot of people that were on and then were cut, and I'm just like, wow, like, what shitbags? But because I was literally, season 40 was supposed to be Rivals, I was told you're on. Like, it's not you may be on, you could be on, you're on. And then they switched the theme to Winners at War from Rivals, and it's like, okay, you're not. I'm like, all right, but they did the same thing, heroes, villains. They're like, you're on. And then it was 8 days before we left. They're like, Hatch can't get his passport. The cast as Hatch has you, so you're not on. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. And I took that one a lot harder than I took like season 40. I'm just like, you fucked me once, you'll fuck me again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a little more experience. And that's also far more brutal. Like, you're on, and then a week before flying out or a day before flying out has happened to people. Like, the shit they've pulled is pretty inhumane from my point of view. I think so. I get it. We know what we're signing up for, but it's pretty inhumane in some cases.
And ultimately unnecessary, to be honest. Yeah. I would get it if it's like, there's no other way we can do this other than this way. It's hard for me to buy that. And I don't have their side of, the perspective, but that's how I've always felt. Is like, is this necessary? Because it is so brutal for people.
I would like a lot more of, you're not on. You are a front runner, but I feel like the vibe is you're on.
Yeah.
They might not be saying it, but it's like, don't make any other plans.
And so is that kind of how you felt, Reiman, that it was like, they're not telling me I'm on, but everyone's kind of talking to me like I'm on,
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I felt. Yeah. And that's why I said what I said. That's how it felt. Yeah.
And so, not to cut you off, but something that, we talked about a lot with Jerry when she was on was the fact that this operates a lot like a romantic relationship, being a Survivor player and the show Survivor, in that you are constantly trying to prove that you're worthy of their attention and their love and their validation. You're trying to prove that you deserve a spot in their world. And they kind of hold all the power in the relationship, where it's like, if I want to cut you off, I can do that. And if I decide that I want you back, I'll keep you around until I find somebody else that I want to play with. And I think it takes going through that to realize that we do have power as individuals and that we can reclaim some of that. I think you're a good example of somebody who's done that, going through pain and then kind of reclaiming a lot of that agency and that power. And it's kind of like in a romantic relationship where it's like, you're not telling me I'm your boyfriend, but you're kind of talking to me like I'm your boyfriend. And like, all right, like you invited me to go get dinner with your parents, and like I'm sleeping over at your house 5 nights a week, but you're not telling me that I'm your boyfriend. And now you're hooking up with a new guy. And when I'm like, hey, what the hell? You're like, well, I never said we were dating, so I don't know what your issue is. That's kind of how it feels like for some people.
Survivor's a shitty girlfriend.
Yeah, like what do you make of that assessment? And you can disagree.
I mean, I would call him a shitty boyfriend more. He's like a dark triad fuck boy. Fucks me in the ass and then says he wants to keep it casual.
Yeah, no, I think that's accurate. And so how did you learn that you were going to be cut? How did that go down?
I called casting girl and she said, "Oh, I was going to call you today, I swear." And my car's on the side of the road. Give me an hour. And then we talked and she's like, all right, I'll rip the Band-Aid off. You're not on. But yeah, I appreciate you seeing that I have reclaimed a lot of my power. Not all. Yeah. I was disappointed, but that's all I was. I wasn't devastated. Yeah. And I had a plan. Like I had this idea for healing from Survivor from before, and it was the perfect moment. So it's okay. But yeah, you got to beware of Survivor as this toxic boyfriend. It's like probably the best analogy. It's the analogy that my first casting producer used with me, and I'm very grateful for that. He was, I was 19, and he was like, you just have to understand. We'll talk to you like you're the most important person in the world, and then we'll drop you. Just understand that.
Wow. And they said that can't like during casting.
Yeah, first call.
Wow.
First call.
I wish I heard that.
I was very a lot of integrity on his part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told I'm their favorite person ever and always will be.
And so now everybody.
I'm actually doing this live. Fiji. This is a little thing they let me do on the.
Yeah, he's in Fiji right now.
I am playing 50 right
Part
now.
of his contract was that he needs to be able to do the reality after show.
Yeah. Boston Rob's been putting out all these fake posts on his Instagram. It's me and Boston Rob and Sandra. We're just fucking chucking it up. We're like,
this is AI.
Did they make a statue of you too? Because I would.
I got three. They did it like a Mount Rushmore, and it's just for me, and then they recreated the Boston Rob and Sandra on each side. So
cool. Good.
What are your thoughts on the cast for 50? Do you have thoughts on the cast for 50? What do you make of the 24 people they've assembled?
I could only name probably half of them off the top of my head because I didn't even know they did the announcement when they did it, and then my friend showed me and I looked and it looked like a good cast. I don't remember all of everyone. I was surprised to see Coach. That's cool.
Yeah.
And the season 48 people, Kyle, Camila. Yeah, like there was no one that I was like.
Did you need 3 people from 48? Was that your request?
Well, I needed a Joe. Everyone needs a Joe. But no, I don't think I saw duds. I mean, it's a little bit of a weird hodgepodge of people, but like I wouldn't criticize it too heavily.
Yeah. Okay. And so I want to get in unless Jonny has anything else about healing from Survivor.
I do want to go before we go into what you have going on here, Reiman, which I think could potentially change some people's lives, and I'm excited about that. I want to hear the process of going from Spencer to Reiman, and prior to that, I have a previous question, not a follow-up. Were you drinking your own urine during the first part of this interview?
During the first part of what?
This interview.
Yeah, you had a cup. I'm wondering if that was filled with your own urine.
No, I haven't gotten into the urine therapy yet.
Okay. There were rumors on Reddit that you were, because you were doing the plant-based stuff, and I think a lot of people had the assumption of peyote, and they're just and you're living it, and they're just like, oh yeah, he's drinking his own pee, and I'm just like, is he? Because
yeah, Reddit thinks in very broad strokes and not very intelligently.
Yeah,
I mean, and sometimes cogently, but like, yeah, those dudes. I mean, people don't know who I am; they don't have a clue. So like, they
don't know who any of us
are. Things at the wall. They think because I asked questions about the COVID vaccine that I'm this off the walls nutter in conspiracy land.
Not anymore.
No, yeah, eventually people have to see the light, but yeah, and people think I'm a transphobe, all this nonsense that's not true at all.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a lot of assumptions get made about the plant medicine. I haven't even tried peyote. I've done a bunch of ayahuasca. I've worked with tobacco and aguacoya or San Pedro.
Have you done DMT?
Well, DMT is the active compound in ayahuasca.
Okay.
I haven't smoked DMT before.
I've smoked it twice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How was that?
So it lasts 8 minutes. And that's it. Like you literally trip balls for 8 minutes. So the first time I did it, I was at my buddy's house. He's like, "Hey, smoke this. You trip balls for 8 minutes." I'm like, "Okay." So I hit it, and his cat was sitting on the chair across from me. And the cat's like, "You know, you fucked up, right?" I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh yeah." So he's talking to the cat for 8 minutes, and the cat's talking back, and I'm just like, "All right." Well,
Johnny going, "Really?" Instead of being like, "Why are you talking to me?" It's so funny.
Oh yeah, no, we were all in. And then the second time I was at this guy's apartment in Greensboro, so a bunch of us hanging out, and the entire room went 2-dimensional, yellow submarine style. And it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, just everyone in that room was 2-dimensional yellow submarine. I was just like, wow. And fast forward, I won't out the person because I'm a nice guy. And I will say they were a Survivor winner. We were in New York and I had some DMT and he was like, "This is bullshit." And I was like, "All right." So anyway, so he was like, "All right, I'm going to smoke it. And you say it lasts 8 minutes. When I say now, you start the clock and let's see how long this goes." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So anyway, so he hits it. We're in this like $2,500 a night hotel room, brass table, the glass top, whatever. So anyway, so he hits it immediately. He's sitting there like this, and just drool is just pouring down his mouth onto the table. And 4 minutes in, he goes, "Start the clock." I'm like, okay.
It's so like obviously you doing ayahuasca has been something that a lot of people have talked about. I don't think they really know a lot about what that experience was like for you. So I mean, you can go as deep or as shallow as you want, but like, what drew you to that initially, and why did it become such a consistent part, at least for part of your life, of you kind of figuring out your way in the world?
Yeah. Yeah, what I like about ayahuasca is it's the DMT from chacruna, the plant that the ayahuasca vine is mixed with, but the ayahuasca vine suppresses the enzymes that would be processing that and making it only last 10 minutes. So it allows you to be in this DMT space a little lighter, like you're not maybe blasting into hyperspace quite as dramatically as you would smoking DMT, but you can stay in that space for some hours, for like 3, 4, 5 hours, and you can have this very guided experience connecting with spirit, connecting with this other world that I think these experiences show us exists. Like you talk to your cat, telepathy is real. We can talk to animals. I have a friend who did a mushroom trip and had a full-blown conversation with her cat, and it was for real.
Yeah.
And it's being proven now. There are these telepathy tapes with that woman Kai something that's scientifically showing telepathy is real, and that we have this interconnectedness and this this deeper part of ourselves that in the egoic world of form isn't always online. But you do something like psychedelics, or you just pay attention to your dreams, or you meditate a lot, and you realize like there is this astral spiritual reality, and there's also this material worldly reality, and they're both real, and what happens here affects what happens here, even if you don't know about it. So like I had my first realization of this on some level meditating, and then after a few years I was doing retreats, I was learning a lot, but I was also with a lot of stress. I was in graduate school, I was super stressed, I needed help, I needed medicine. And so I went to ayahuasca in April 2019. I was actually introduced to Aya and to plant medicine by, I'm almost 100% sure it's fine, Corinne. Yeah.
I think she would co-sign that.
Yeah. I mean, Corinne, I'm so sorry if not, but I'm pretty darn sure she's fine with it. She likes getting this stuff out into
Yeah.
the mainstream.
I
And
think she's the last person that would have an issue.
Yeah. No, I think she would be upset if you didn't say her name.
Yeah.
cool. She's also the last person I thought would introduce me to plant medicine.
Sure.
I had
Yeah.
no
That's
idea
a
she had the
surprising
drive
answer to me. Yeah.
Sugar would say that.
Corinne's a deep woman. She's very deep, deeper than you would know. And so yeah, she introduced me, and I was really like stressed and having panic attacks at the time. I told my girlfriend at the time, I'm about to go on this retreat. If I come back and I'm not well, like take me to a hospital and look at my brain. Something's not right. But I came back more full of life and calmer than I'd ever been, and I was blown away by what's possible with plant medicine. So then, yeah, I went on a journey with plant medicine. I started slow. I just did that one retreat, a couple ceremonies in April 2019. My next experience was in Guatemala, February 2020. And that was still probably the deepest time I've had with medicine. I had a ceremony where all of my neurotic stuff, my neuroses as an ego, were coming up, and it was kind of unbearable. Like I was being confronted with fears and like just all of my neurotic stuff, and I felt like I couldn't take it, and I was like losing my grip. I was feeling all sorts of ways, disoriented, like breathing while shaking, just sort of. But like it's very cool how medicine can take you in these vulnerable, intense places, but give you the support to like be okay there. So I was hanging in there until I wasn't, and then I started like losing my grip on the material world, which usually with ayahuasca doesn't happen. Usually like you're there in the room, and you're not just blasted off into hyperspace. But in this experience, I started losing my grip on duality, on form. Like the lines of different objects in the room were blurring together. Everything was shaking, and then the whole visual field just imploded. It was all black. And I had this experience of death that I can't really describe any other way. I died. Yeah. And then I came back online, but with no thoughts. I didn't have any concepts of self. And I was just like, for about 30 minutes, like feeling what it is to be in a human body, remembering, and everything was totally magical. Like there were no concepts to sort of explain things away or put them in boxes. I was just in this world of magic. It was the world as it is, but everything was magical. And I had no thoughts or sense of self for about half an hour until the ego came back. And so yeah, I had this experience of death and rebirth. And a day or so after that, I had this feeling that I wanted to start going by Reiman. It connects me to my larger extended family, the Reiman family, which has always meant a lot to me. And I like how it sounds and it feels right. Those were the main reasons.
What's the Reiman family?
The Reiman family, it's my mom's side of the family.
Okay.
So her parents and yeah, my immediate family was super chaotic. So when we would go to Thanksgiving at my grandparents', it was this reprieve where I was with family, but it was like actually a safe container where I felt great, and just a lot of love there. So yeah, that felt right. And then I've had like a long journey that I couldn't really get into all of it now. But yeah, I've done a bunch more medicine, and I'm doing less now than I was doing in say 2022, but it's really been similar to Survivor, like created a lot of difficult experiences, but at the same time, I would have to give ayahuasca, other plant medicines as well, and Survivor. I would have to give all these things and many, many people credit for my life as it is, because I wouldn't be where I am without it. I was going to go back to the States and be with a girlfriend, and ayahuasca connected me to my love for the land in Ecuador and the potential for what I want to create here, and just connected me with my own deeper truth that this is where I feel home and I need to stay here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just like incredibly grateful for it all, and it's hard to explain, and a lot of people misinterpret it and judge it, but whatever. It's real cool that you guys can hear this stuff. It's nice to have a conversation like this.
Yeah,
I mean, how do you think we feel, dude? This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm happy I can talk DMT with Reiman. So you smoke weed, right?
Not anymore.
Really?
But I have smoked a lot of weed in my day. Yes.
I'm high right now.
Nice.
I do have a question. I have a question from the chat. Reiman, have you ever done Up Dog?
Up Dog? What is that?
What up, dog?
Nothing much, dog. What's up with you?
Yeah, there we go.
What's up, doggy? I don't
So,
understand.
so
No one's getting
it's you ask somebody, have you ever done up dog? And they say, what's up, dog? And then you say,
Oh.
nothing much. What's up with you? I have to deal with this dad humor from Jonny every time we do one of these, and he loves it. He cannot get enough of it.
Yeah. Yes.
But
All right.
so I'd like to get into healing from Survivor. Like I said, I've kind of intentionally, knowing that this conversation was on the horizon, stayed away from a lot of what this is. So, treat me as if I've never heard of healing from Survivor before. What is it?
It is an experience in the Amazon jungle of Ecuador that creates a therapeutic environment and a healing container for people who have been on Survivor to process what they've been through, to process the show and beyond the show, how it affects them after, and to heal. And not that everyone doing it would necessarily have so much to heal or feel super wounded. Maybe people came in with wounds and they got worse in Survivor, or maybe they felt pretty balanced and then they felt consumed by this monster Survivor, or whatever their experience might be. The attention, the social media, the business of exploitation, dealing with like not only lying to contestants but having to navigate producers and knowing you're being used for an entertainment product and you're going to be treated one way during and then discarded after. All that stuff. Like, there's so much to unpack that I think it's easy to forget when you're watching the show. You just see characters, and we're programmed to not even really think about who we see on TV as humans that are, this is having ramifications on their life for years. But obviously, as we know, it does. And I feel there are a lot of survivors who would benefit from this experience, and a lot of fans of Survivor who would benefit and be fascinated by seeing that side of the experience for the contestants. So it's 2 weeks in the jungle. We're going to film November 15th to 30th. It's a container for yoga practices, meditation, plant medicine ceremonies. It'll be optional to take medicine, but participation and presence will be expected. And then facilitated conversations around a fire. I don't know what I'll call it yet. Survivor
Tribal Council, maybe? I don't know. Just an idea.
Something like that. But, can't directly copy Survivor.
Yeah.
Well, the snake calls it the safety ceremony. Steal from the snake. That won't be around season 2. You're good.
Yeah, we'll figure out a name, but just talking this stuff through in a facilitated way, and opening that window for people to see how it affects us, and then create the most positive experience possible for survivors. I think just being in the jungle in a natural environment, eating organic food cooked with love by an indigenous family, talking with the shaman, that itself is very healing.
Yeah,
being in nature, and then there's also a ton of potential with healing with the plant medicines. So I view it as an opportunity to show what's possible in these worlds and spaces that people often misperceive as just doing drugs in the jungle, but that really do unearth deeper parts of people, connect them with their true selves and with joy, creativity, and inspiration in their lives that they might not have imagined before. I want to show that possibility. That's what Light and Shadows, the larger docuseries, is about. It's about showing possibilities for life to spread awareness, and to show the shadows and the challenges. And when you go through these processes, that's a lot of what it is. It's like unearthing dark stuff. So to show all that and to show what's possible in this healing world to a world that's almost like the opposite. I love the challenge of it, because a lot of the Survivor community, I think y'all and these few people we've talked about who might have dabbled in psychedelics or have some kind of spiritual connection, I would say that's the
Mary.
Mother Mary. It's those are the exceptions, and most it's a lot of alcohol and not a lot of awareness that these things are even possible. So to bridge those worlds, that's what excites me about it. And I'm excited to share this world of medicine and healing with people who have gone into almost a polar opposite space.
Sure. And I think something that, an interesting dichotomy that you're building here with this is that it's you're going into the jungle, and it's I think a lot of people who go on Survivor, the only experience they have in a proper jungle is being on Survivor. And you associate it with all of these rather superficial things of
stupid challenges.
like challenges and
The sanctuary where good things
and doing confessionals and going to try, and it's like, well, this space, this biome has a lot more to offer than just that. And is that part of your thinking as well, to bring people into a similar environment that has a kind of, like you said, polar opposite effect?
For sure. Yeah, it's like to go into a similar environment of nature, but rather than connecting with the survival, competitive, killer aspect of nature, which is cool, that's part of nature.
Yeah.
It's connecting with this healing, loving, connecting part of nature. And yeah, bringing all these survivors together, not to lie and to like screw each other over, but to connect and to hear each other and process like something that's unique, something that few can understand from the outside if you haven't gone through it.
Yeah, and so what I love about this is, and I talked about this on the episode of my own show I do on Johnny's channel here, is I am so incredibly lucky, and everybody on 47 agrees with this, that we are like properly a big happy family. The support, the love, the admiration, the validation, the affirmation that we all have for each other is so strong. And it's this support system that has allowed me to weather so many storms in this survivor world. And I know how lucky I am to have that. I know that that is not the norm, that most
Reiman
casts
had
not like
chaos
that.
cast. So
Exactly. Like, and then he did a returnee season where I hear it always gets messy. So like, and I see people, particularly people kind of around me, like in these new era seasons, that don't have that. And I see how much they struggle, and I see how alone they often feel, or maybe they have one or two people from their cast they're really close with that they hold on to. And I want to be like, hey, like, come on, like we'll be there for you, but it's not the same because it's not your people. And one of the very happy side effects I could see being created from what you're doing in Ecuador in November is that people can find that. People can go through a very intense but enlightening experience with other people from this community and say, like, oh, I have a cast, for lack of a better term, a group of people that like have my back, that are a support system for me, and most importantly, know what I went through. Our families don't know what it's like to be on Survivor. Our lifelong friends don't know what it's like to be on Survivor. And I personally just see so many people, particularly in this new era stratosphere, struggle so deeply with being in this show, being off the show, dealing with what they did on the show, dealing with people's reactions to it. And they don't have what I have and what a lot of the other people on 47 have. And it's something that I can't give to them, no matter how badly I want to. And I think, you have the vision and the facilities to offer even a piece of that, which I think is going to be so big for so many people, new era otherwise.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the encouragement. I'm also happy for you that you did find that, because I do think it's rare. Like when you connect with people in the environments of this devil's game, like sometimes it works out that way, but probably more often it doesn't. So yeah, the power of going into that jungle environment and space without the premise of deception and with that connection, fostering that connection, that's something I really want to offer on whatever level I can. I do think it could be really beautiful for the people who do it, and I think it could also be really beautiful. Like it could not only change lives of people who participate and touch it, but it could, I think it could shape the genre over time. Like it could expand what's possible in reality, because I think people crave authenticity, and that's why they love reality TV. And that conflict's authentic. It's an easy way to get there. But to find authenticity in people going through deep processes, maybe breaking down, maybe having breakthroughs, talking about things in a cathartic way. I would be down for that with Cass too. Like Cass and I are cool. I'll talk about whatever. I'll talk about how the show's fuckery benefited me. I'll talk about my privilege. I'll talk about any topic that could be difficult to go into, to like have the conversations they're like pseudo having in the new age of the new era of what we're dealing with in the world, and identity, race, gender, all of it, but like to really get in there in the depth I think can bring something new to reality TV.
And like I could do a whole hour on this, and I won't, because we're coming up on an hour right now. But this is something that, and I don't want to get too deep because I have ideas that I'm not ready to discuss publicly. But I think that
I read on Reddit
that one of the most astute things that I've heard you say of many things is that people crave reality. And I think in this world of AI generation and in this world of chasing clicks and chasing online engagement, that reality is falling to the wayside more and more every single day. And it's creating a deeper craving for it because it's becoming more difficult to find. And I think that there is a deep demand for that in our entertainment space. And I think, what you're doing isn't entertaining because it's salacious. It's entertaining because it's enlightening. And I wholeheartedly agree with that statement, that there is a demand for that. There is a craving for that within humans, within people. We want reality. And I think as convenient as fake reality, whatever you want to call it, makes our lives, there's something intrinsic with us that the lizard part of our brain wants real things, craves real things. And it's why I'm such an admirer of this project you're doing. And, I'd love to be a part of it. We can talk about that off air or whatever. But I think it's because it's like, this is going to be real, man. This is going to be people talking about their real lives, their real experiences, and things that, some of these production companies, not to throw an arrow, it's not my intention here, but probably don't want to get out there, or at least don't want to be facilitators of it getting out there. And again, not in a salacious way, in an enlightening way. And I'm a huge admirer of it. I think it's awesome. And I really agree with it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's not what I hear from the average survivor. So yeah, I look forward to staying in touch.
We're the cool sort. Me and Gabe just want to braid each other's hair for a week. Is that
cool? Me and Johnny will we'll have loincloth, just smoking pot, braiding hair.
I can get down with that, yeah.
There's the sizzle reel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be the behind the scenes extras that you pay for on Patreon. It'll be me and Johnny running amok.
Braiding each other.
No, I would never. But it is funny to think about. But I mean, this has been a fascinating conversation. I don't have anything else, Johnny. If you have more, I'm down to stick around for as long as you want to.
No, I just want to say, Reiman, we love you. I've loved you forever. I think you're one of the coolest human beings, one of my favorite characters. You were so fun to watch, and I just love seeing the journey. I hate the Discord, but I love the other side of the Discord, and I feel like you're in one of the more fun places in our communications throughout the years that I've seen you in. And I think this is just the cusp of where I'm going to see you. Like this fall, yes, November is occupied, but September, October, December, I feel that we are going to be hanging out. I'll try to find some DMT. If not, I mean, a good shot of Patron.
Just come to the jungle and do DMT the slow, natural way.
Well, enough shots of Patron, I feel we'll get pretty fucking close. And
alcohol shamanism, yeah, probably underrated.
I just want to say I've just you've been such an awesome person for so long to me and in the sphere that I wanted to share this here, but I just wanted to say I think you're awesome, dude. I always have, and you didn't need to win Survivor. You won Survivor as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, man, I co-sign everything Johnny said, and this is our first interaction we've ever had, and I'm awestruck by your insight into this world, into the world in general, and I can't wait to meet you in person. I will do whatever it takes to make that happen. So whether it's in November, whether it's before that or after that, I really look forward to shaking your hand and meeting you in person. This was awesome, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your laughter. This has been so much fun.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, you're super welcome in Ecuador. I think you're right, Johnny. This is just the cusp. I'm still healing myself on a lot of levels. I'm healing my, extreme seriousness, I guess I would call it. So it's fun to get more playful and have real conversations. And this is just the very beginning. So thank you guys.
How long are you in Atlanta for?
A week. But I mean, the first half of that week, I'm going to be dealing with the family situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next weekend, let's all just hang out at Big Tom's for a night. Let's hang out at his cabin. You down?
Big Tom. Oh, Big Tom. Is he in Georgia?
Survivor Africa. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a time.
I mean, I can't promise peyote or anything else, but I can promise a huge jar of moonshine and Gabe making poor decisions.
There you go.
Well, I'm off alcohol and marijuana and non-ceremonial tobacco for a while, but I would.
What does that leave?
That leaves coffee. Coffee's great.
I'll bring some mushrooms.
All right, sweet. Sounds
there
good.
we go. There we found something. We needed something. There we go.
Oh, mushrooms is my favorite. Mushrooms is my favorite drug / medicine, probably.
Mushrooms and Jolene coffee. We're set. We're good.
They'll be shaking, doing crossword puzzles, smoking cigarettes on mushrooms, drinking coffee.
Thank you, Shane Powers. So,
all right, my man. Thank you so much. Get to Atlanta safe. Hope everything goes good with your family. If telepathy is real, as you say, I will be sending great energy your way. Hopefully things work out, and get back to Ecuador safe, my man. You got a lot of stuff to do, so make sure you get there right. Yes, sir. I just felt that. Holy shit, I felt that. Well done. All right, my man. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. Peace, guys.
Next time. Bye, everybody. Hang out, Reiman. Bye.